Hey class, I am here to have my discussion on introduction to research. Before anything else, and before we proceed to our formal discussion to what research is all about, let me give you an orientation first on the vision, mission, and goal of the university's Research and Publication Center. But before we proceed to that one, let us reorient ourselves first of the university's vision and mission and core values. So for the vision, by 2022, a globally recognized institution providing quality, affordable, and open education. So I believe you have already familiarized the university's vision and as well as its mission, which states that provide a dynamic and supportive academic environment through the highest standard of instruction, research, and extension in a non-sectarian institution committed to democratizing access to education. The university also has core values, which are excellence, honesty and integrity, innovation, and teamwork. Since this is a research course, then we should also be oriented about the Research and Publication Center's vision, mission, and goals. For the vision, a leading institution recognized for its significant contribution in the generation of new knowledge for the improvement of the quality of human life. For many years now, the university's Research and Publication Center has been very committed in producing quality research outputs. Not only that, it has also collaborated with various institutions and linkages or networks so that quality research outputs could be produced, and these outputs have significantly made contributions to the society or to the current pool of knowledge that we have. As to the mission, to nurture research culture among its faculty, staff, and students, demonstrating the love for the truth and upholding the values of rigor, artistry, and ethics. For its goals, first is to develop skilled, committed, conscientious, and prudent researchers. This has been very true because this office has been committed in honing the skills not only of the students but also of the faculty researchers. Second one, to upgrade research support mechanisms such as facilities, devices, policies, and systems. If you have noticed, the Research and Publication Center has already upgraded several of its facilities. For example, we have the research hangar where engineering students could create their outputs with all the available equipment therein. And also we have the laboratory for Coleoptera, the research with regard to beetles. And then second one is to upgrade. Third one is to produce, present, publish, and practice researches that respond to the needs of the time and contribute to the sustainable development of society. So for many years now, faculty researchers have been sent also to various international fora, national research conferences, even the local ones, so that these faculty members would also share their research findings and learn insights from other researchers in the field. Fourth one is to establish and sustain strategic linkages with external agencies for purposes of collaboration and funding. So the Research and Publication Center has also collaborated and established partnerships with various institutions, not only government-based but also private ones, so that funding could be provided by these chosen partners. So since you have been oriented already with the vision, mission, and goals of the Research and Publication Center, might as well that you be oriented about the program research agenda. The research agenda enlists all possible research topics that may be explored with the students in a specific program. And since you are enrolled in the AB English Language Program, your research priorities are as follows. First one, language and culture profiling and preservation. So if you are very interested in conducting a research with regard to ethnographic or ethnolinguistics, or maybe you would like to preserve, to record, document, or archive languages of various ethnical groups here in Davao City or in the region, then that is within this priority. Second one is discourse and critical discourse analysis. So for those who would love to explore analysis of texts, then this is the research priority apt for you. Third one is language learning and teaching. So you may also explore how English language is taught and learned in a language classroom. And then fourth one is any research related to linguistics and language studies. Now, the target areas, all of these research priorities actually have one target area, and that is to improve social well-being and human development. Now, if you have other research topics which which may not fall under any of these research priorities, you may always approach either the research coordinator or the subject teacher to look at it, to examine it, to carefully study it, whether or not it could still be considered as one of the scopes of the provided research priorities. This time, let's proceed to the guidelines in the conduct of research. Now, the conduct of research in the university follows a specific procedure. It has protocols, and these protocols need to be strictly followed not only by the subject teacher, but also by the research students. Make sure that you strictly follow all of these procedures, because one mishap in the following of this procedure may result in, let's say, delays in your outline or final defense. In the first week of classes, students will be oriented about the protocols in the conduct of research based on the university guidelines. So you have been oriented about this one already, as we had a discussion on the research or undergraduate research agreement form. Second one, after this, students will be asked to read and understand the undergraduate research agreement form, which is found on the next pages, which stipulates all the procedures and reminders in the conduct of research. Then, students accomplish the second page of the said form. After affixing their signature, students should submit the form to the research teacher. So this is the undergraduate research agreement form, which I discussed to you during our first online meeting. So since you have been oriented already about the basic protocols in the university's research aspect, this time, let me give you a brief introduction to what research is all about. Now, in your senior high school years, I believe that you have been introduced already to various concepts related to research, may it be qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method. But the approach that we have here in college is totally different, because this is going to be field-based. When you say field-based, meaning you need to conduct a research that is within the bounds of your knowledge based on the program where you're currently enrolled in. So since all of you are enrolled in the AB English language program, that means the context of the research that we are going to conduct here is language research. So let us discuss first research, its definition, purpose, and types. Research is a systematic process based on the scientific method that facilitates the identification of relationships and determination of differences in order to answer questions. Now, this is one peculiar quality of research, because it is not just about looking for answers on the internet. It is not only about asking people to respond to specific survey questions. Research follows a scientific procedure. That means it is scientific, it follows a certain system wherein it has to be step by step, and that it has to be carefully followed by every researcher in the field. Furthermore, research is the creation of new knowledge and the use of existing knowledge in a new and creative way to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understanding. That is the very reason why researchers are highly discouraged from replicating studies. They are highly discouraged from recycling studies, because the very essence of conducting research is to make sure that we generate new knowledge by using existing knowledge. We could also generate new knowledge and contradict existing knowledge. It depends on the nature of your research. So, as researchers, we need to have this goal that we conduct research not for the sake of submitting an academic paper or passing a certain research course. We conduct research because we want to contribute new knowledge to the existing knowledge that we have. So, generally, research is a process of collecting. So you collect, you analyze, and then you interpret information to answer questions. However, for an output to qualify as research, the process must have certain characteristics. And these are, first one, systematic. So it has to be very systematic because it is scientific in nature. Second one, it has to be controlled. When you say controlled, that means there might be some scope and limitations with regard to how you conduct your research. Third one, it has to be rigorous. You have to be very diligent enough in conducting your research, in looking for answers to your research questions. It has to be valid as well. That is why we always have this test of validity in terms of using research instruments, and we do not manipulate data at all in research, so that it has to be valid and credible. And it must be empirical, it has to be theory-based, and it has to be critical, meaning it has to be a process of careful analysis of matters. Now, various kinds of research have specific purposes. Some of these are the following. The first one is to describe systematically the facts and characteristics of a given population or area of interest factually and accurately. That means when you do research, you are systematically analyzing facts and characteristics of a certain phenomenon. That means analyzing also the interest of a certain population of respondents or participants, and it has to be factual and accurate. Second one, to investigate patterns and sequences of growth and or change as a function of time. For example, when you wish to explore experiences of certain individuals as part of your research participants, then you may look at patterns, different patterns in terms of behavior or patterns in terms of responses. Next one is to study intensively the background, current status, and environmental interactions of a given social unit, an individual, group, institution, or community. This is specifically true for those people who would like to explore researches in the field of phenomenology, wherein you study phenomenology or case studies, wherein you study the situation of a specific person or a group of people, and then you study the status, you study interactions with other people as well in the community. And then to investigate the extent to which variations in one factor correspond with variations in one or more other factors based on correlation coefficients. This one is specifically true for quantitative researches, wherein you look at correlations through experimentation and other research methods or designs. Next one is to investigate possible cause and effect relationships by observing some existing consequence and searching back through the data for plausible causal factors. In research, you also investigate possible cause and effect relationships. Well, research has been very instrumental in analyzing cause and effect situations. That is why when you are in doubt about whether or not a certain factor or variable causes change to another variable or the second variable, then research comes very instrumental. Next one, to approximate the conditions of the true experiment in a setting which does not allow the the control and or manipulation of all relevant variables. The researcher must clearly understand what compromises exist in the internal and external validity of the design and proceed within these limitations. That means whenever you are conducting research, even if you find it totally against your principles or totally against a certain institution, but if your findings are a product of your careful analysis and interpretation of data, that means there should have no manipulation at all on the end of the researcher. So the findings should remain as is. And lastly is to develop new skills or new approaches and to solve problems with direct application to the classroom or working world setting. So that is the very essence of the conduct of research. We have to make sure that we conduct research so that we can contribute new knowledge and so that consequently this new knowledge could be applied in the current situation and current phenomena. Okay, so back in the days, you were oriented that there are three major types of research. And these are the three approaches to research. First one is quantitative, second is qualitative, and third one is mixed method. Now, to better understand the differences among these three, I want you to carefully look at this table. Let's have quantitative first. Now, when we talk about quantitative, this is a type of educational research in which the researcher decides who to study, asks specific narrow questions, collects quantifiable data from participants, a large number of participants, analyzes these numbers using statistics, and conducts the inquiry in an unbiased, objective manner. Now, the conduct of quantitative research is basically unbiased and objective because, for example, when you ask your respondents rather to answer survey questionnaire, that means whatever has been or whatever answer has been stated there in the survey questionnaire, that means it is an objective response from the respondents. Second one, it generally attempts to quantify variables of interest and questions must be measurable. It's measurable because usually in a quantitative research, there is a specific scale used in order to measure the responses of the respondents. And it generally involves collecting numerical data that can be subjected to statistical analysis. Well, one unique quality of the conduct of quantitative research is that it uses statistical tools. And these statistical tools will approximately, or will, I mean, accurately quantify the data. It will accurately interpret the data so that at the end of the research, you could have research findings that have been carefully examined, analyzed, and interpreted. Okay, examples of quantitative research are, we have correlational, causal comparative, or we also call it as ex post facto. We also have experimental, may it be true experimental or quasi-experimental. And the one that is very common among educational institutions, action research. Now, the second type of research is qualitative research. This is a type of educational research in which the researcher relies on the views of participants. The researchers also ask broad, general questions, collect data consisting largely of words or text from participants, basically because interview is primarily used as the data gathering tool. And then describe and analyze these words for themes. Themes or codes are generated in a qualitative research and conducts the inquiry in a subjective, biased manner. They say that the conduct of qualitative research is subjective. It's biased because the fact that when you choose participants, you choose it based on your intuition. You choose it based on your own bias. You choose it based on a specific criteria that usually researchers themselves set. So it's biased with that fact. However, at times, qualitative researchers are also powerful tools in order to really qualitatively describe the experiences of the participants, most especially when they share their responses. That is when the researchers can generate themes that could be meaningfully examined, analyzed, and interpreted. Okay. Secondly, it generally involves listening to the participants' voices and subjecting the data to analytic induction. So there is a specific data analysis procedure that can be used for qualitative research. And it is more explanatory in nature because it simply explains the phenomenon. Examples of qualitative researches are historical, we have descriptive. For language research, we have discourse analysis, we have case study, we have phenomenology, we have ethnolinguistics or ethnography. And then the very hybrid type of quanti and quali is the mixed method type, which is basically a combination of both. This is a procedure for collecting, analyzing, and mixing both quantitative and qualitative research and methods in a single study to understand a research problem. To utilize this approach, a researcher must understand both quantitative and qualitative approaches to research. In the university setting, most especially in the undergraduate programs, we rarely use mixed method because of its complexity. Usually mixed method type of research is used by the graduate and postgraduate students because they have been equipped already with the skills necessary in the conduct of both quanti and quali in a single research. Okay? Now, for you to clearly see the difference between or among qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method, this diagram here will clearly show you that even if they have differences, they also have similarities, and that is where mixed method comes in. Okay, so I will end my discussion there, and I hope you fully understood what research is all about. The very gist of this discussion is for you to be reminded about how important research is. Most students would underestimate the importance of research because for them it is just another requirement that needs to be complied with. However, if you are this researcher who has passion for learning and discovery, research is actually an avenue where you can discover a lot of things by reading related literature and materials. Research could also one good way for you to enhance your writing skills. And ultimately, research is one good way for you to contribute to the current pool of knowledge. Of course, as educated individuals, our goal here is to make sure that whatever knowledge we learn in an academic institution, we transform them and we make them usable by people who can also contribute the same in your field. So I know that it may be taxing on your part to conduct research, but once you have fully enjoyed research, you will really discover that it has magic in research, and that later on you might find yourself more interested in the conduct of research. So that's all for this discussion. If you have questions, please post them on the open forum section. Thank you.